Welcome to the audio recording of the TikaMcCoy.com monthly newsletter, March 2025, Hope to the Hopeless. Hints of an earthy, nutty cigar engulf the study. Not to be outdone, the sweet, woody fragrance of a bold brandy made its presence known. Raucous laughter joined the musky aroma, wafted through the air vents, and leisurely entered the upper level. An exhausted and irritated Eleanor Roosevelt hastily tied her robe, quickened her steps to the top of the stairwell. She demanded that Franklin D. Roosevelt and Winston Churchill, two of the world's most powerful men, keep it down. Of course, this is my interpretation of the events. Historian Doris Kearns Goodman explained the events differently. In no ordinary time, Franklin and Eleanor Roosevelt, the home front in World War II. Among many facts detailed in the book, she chronicled the camaraderie between FDR and Churchill. Sir Winston Churchill is remembered as a heroic statesman who rallied the Allies during the Second World War. He is credited with the famous quote, "History belongs to the victors." Retelling history is replete with some folklore and a splash of truth. The truth is, variations of that quote are attributed to several other men. Nevertheless, Winston is famous for repeating it. We can, however, credit him with an infamous line from his 1941 broadcast in which he sought to inspire the world. "We will never parley. We will never negotiate with Hitler or any of his gang. We shall fight him by land. We shall fight him by sea. We shall fight him in the air until, with God's help, we have rid the earth of his shadow and liberated its people from his yoke." I do not know about Churchill's faith, but based on the words in his speech, he acknowledged the importance of relying on God to achieve victory. Some 2 millennia before Winston Churchill gave hope to the hopeless, Daniel and his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, remained steadfast in the face of hopelessness against Nebuchadnezzar. The friends were just teenagers when Jerusalem fell to Babylon. The army captured the young men and transplanted them from 900 miles from home, away from family, culture, and religious traditions. Worldly leaders demanded compliance and assimilation, and Nebuchadnezzar was no different. Daniel and his friends remained steadfast and obedient to the one true God, and refused to follow Nebuchadnezzar's edicts, which opposed God's law. First, Nebuchadnezzar ordered the captured teenagers to partake of his choice food and wine. Daniel sought permission to refuse this order. God rewarded Daniel's obedience. At the end of 10 days, their appearance seemed better. As for these 4 youths, God gave them knowledge and intelligence in every branch of literature and wisdom. Daniel chapter 1, verses 15 and 17. Next, the king erected a golden statue of himself and directed everyone in Babylon to bow down and worship. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego remembered the commandments, "Thou shalt not make idols, and thou shalt have no other gods." They refused the order, and their defiance landed them in the fiery furnace. Yet they did not waver. Daniel chapter 3, verses 16 through 18. "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to give you an answer concerning this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the furnace of blazing fire, and he will deliver us out of your hand, O king. But even if he does not, let it be known to you, O king, that we are not going to serve your gods or worship the golden image that you have set up. 8 verses later, we learn that the young men were no longer in the furnace alone. Verse 26 reads, "Look, I see 4 men loose and walking about in the midst of the fire without harm, and the appearance of the fourth is like a son of the gods." Let this be a reminder that faith and conviction are rewarded. Our Heavenly Father goes before us and will never leave nor forsake us. I can't help but wonder if Churchill read Daniel and resolved to bow to no man and to remain faithful to God. A Babylonian edict did not discourage Daniel from obeying and adhering to Old Testament dietary requirements, nor did it compel his friends to bow down and worship a golden statue. The world will try to convince you to assimilate into its evil ways. It will entice you with lies of fame, glory, and even riches. The intent, of course, is for you to worship them, to uphold worldly idols like power, money, and sin. Just as during World War II, our generation will face hard times with unthinkable choices. So remain steadfast like Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Stand up for the gospel. Hold fast to your faith. And remember, God's law is above all other laws. May God keep you and bless you. This has been the audio recording of the TikaMcCoy.com monthly newsletter.